Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. My name is Chinmaya. In this video, which is part of our ongoing series on LibreOffice Calc, I will show you three handy data management and consolidation features in Calc. So let's start. The first feature that I'm going to demonstrate today can be very handy if you have a spreadsheet that has a large number of columns and a large number of rows. So when you have such a sheet, you have to scroll to the right or to the left to see all the data. And if you wanted to enter a new row, this can be a little bit problematic because you have to keep scrolling. So as you can see, this sheet has around 21 columns and it has 8,400 rows. So if we exclude the first row as the title or the header row, we have 8,399 rows of data in this sheet. So it's a large data sheet. So say if I wanted to enter a new record here, I would have to keep scrolling, and that's a little bit inconvenient. So in such a situation, we can present the data as a form. Before we move forward, I would like to quickly mention that if you are not seeing these tabs on your screen, you can come to View and you can then just go to User Interface and click on the tabbed choice and then apply it to Calc. So you will then see these tabs as you are seeing on my screen. This bar here is the menu bar, and clicking the menu bar button makes it go away, and clicking the menu bar button one more time brings it back. So coming back again to the sheet. So if you have such a sheet and you wanted to enter data or just scroll through or browse data, you can come to the data choice on the menu bar, not on the tab, but on the menu bar, and then just go ahead and click on it and then come down and choose form. So when you click on form, your data is presented per row as a form, and you can just simply go on to the next record. So you can see that this is the next row that is being presented here, and the next record is row ID 50. So all the data in one row is presented as a form, and you can make editing changes immediately. You can also scroll down and browse through the entire data if you wanted to, quite conveniently. And if you wanted to edit, you can just simply come here. As you can see, the first entry is row ID number 1 that is being displayed here, 1 out of 8399 records, and the order priority is low, as you can see here. So if I wanted to change this to high, I can just simply come here and type high and then press enter. So you will see that change in this column. I'm going to come here and press enter. So you can see that change has taken place. So you can just scroll to any record if you wanted to and make changes. Let me just revert this back to low and enter. So you can make changes to any record that you want. Just simply scroll down to the desired record. There's no search button here, so you can just simply navigate to that particular record here. The real utility of this form is when you want to add a new record. So to add a new record, just scroll down to the very end, and when you reach the end, you see an empty form, and you can then start typing in information on the new record. So let us say, for example, I'm entering information. So I can keep entering my information here and then just simply come here and press the new button. So when I do this, a record is added, and then I can just keep entering more data, pressing the new button, and new rows will keep getting added. So if I can just close this and come to the very end, you will see that the 8,401st record has been added via the form. I did not fill up everything, but you can clearly see that a new row has been added here. So to reopen the form, just click anywhere in the data block and then go back to data from the menu bar and click on form, and you will see the form once again, and you can scroll through the data and you can keep filling and adding data to the sheet. One word of caution: it's always nice to make a backup of any sheet that you are editing, such that if something goes wrong, you can always revert back to your original data. So this is a really handy feature and you can make use of it. The second feature that I want to demonstrate is the text to columns feature. This can be really handy in certain situations. As we scroll in this sheet towards the right, you will notice that there is a column that is called as customer name, and we can see that the first name and the last name are part of one column. So every cell is containing the full name of the customer. Now, say for example, for some reason I wanted to separate the first name and the last name. So I can do that quite easily using the text to column feature. So whenever you are presented with data that you want to put in separate columns, you can use the text to column feature. So just select the column and then come on to the data tab. Remember, this time it's the tab and not the menu option. Once you click on the data tab, you will have to come to the very end and click on these two arrows here, and then you will see this option, text to columns. So when you click on this option, you will see a screen, and one of the important things that you want to look at is how Calc is understanding the text to column transformation. In this particular case, it is able to clearly separate the first name and the last name, and it is saying that if you were to press OK now, it would be able to move the second name into a new column. Now this is possible because of separators. So in this particular case, we have chosen tab and space. If I was to remove space, Calc would not know how to separate the first column from the second column. So because we want to separate the first name from the second name, there has to be some logical basis for it, and we can clearly see that there is a space separating the first name and the last name in almost every name here. There can be an outlier, but then we'll have to check that later on. So what we are going to do is we will just come here and click on space, and the moment we do this, it now has a basis to draw a line between the first name and the second name. So it is now ready to move or create a new column. So you can go ahead and press OK. But in this particular case, because there is data after this column, it is going to come back and show you a warning, and we will deal with that warning. So when you press OK, it just comes back and says, I am ready to move the second name into the next column, but there is already data in the next column, that is province. So do you want to overwrite this data? And clearly we don't want to do this. So in sheets where you have data and you want to bring something in between, you will have to make provision by creating a blank column. So I'm going to right click on this column and then insert a column after. So I now have a column that is completely empty. Even though there is data beyond that particular column, this column is completely vacant and ready for receiving the last name. So I'm going to repeat this whole process once again. I've selected the column, clicking on the data tab. I'm going to come here to the end and click on this double arrows button and then click on text to column. And I can see that the first name and the second name have been separated correctly because space has been identified as the separator. So I'm just going to come here and press OK, and it still comes back and gives me a warning because this sheet has data beyond this column. But because I have already created an empty column, I'm going to go ahead and press yes. And when I do that, the second name is now transferred onto a new column, and all I have to do is to just come here and give it an appropriate header name. So I'm going to put first name, and in this particular case, I can just come here and put in customer last name. You can just scroll down and check if there are any exceptions. If there was any exception, you can then just simply make that correction there itself. So this can be a really handy feature at times when you want to separate text data that is inside one column into two columns, or more than two columns if you had that kind of data. Let me also show this to you on a blank sheet quickly. So as you can see, I have some data right here. It's my name, my occupation, and possibly my office room number. But they are all part of one single column, and I want to separate them into three columns. I can just simply select it, or select the entire column if there were more rows of data, and then just click on the data tab and then come here and click on text to columns. You can see that it has nicely picked up the three items and it's ready to port them into three columns. So if this data was separated by a comma, you can come and click on the comma operator also if you wanted to. But here I can see clearly that the data is being nicely segregated, and I can just come here and click on OK, and you will see that the data is now moved on to separate columns, and it did not give me a warning because there was no data columns ahead of where I wanted to separate this data. So if you don't have any data ahead of the cell which you are trying to separate, Calc does not give you a warning. But in the previous case, as we were wanting to insert data and there was data beyond that particular column in the sheet, Calc gave us a warning. But because we made a provision by inserting a blank column, we just went ahead and we were successfully able to separate the first name and the last name. So this can be a really handy feature, data and text to columns. The third feature that I want to demonstrate is the consolidate feature. Let's just imagine that we are a small sustainability store and we have a large number of branches across the country or across the city, and currently we are selling three products. One is the solar battery charger, the other is a solar generator, and the third one is solar water heater. So these are sales figures for each of these products that we have been selling from the green alpha branch in our city, and these sales figures are for the entire year. So in January we have sold 69 solar battery chargers, 85 solar generators, and 42 solar water heaters. When we click on to the next tab, we see data from our next branch, which is the beta branch, green beta branch, and these are the sales figures for these three products from this particular branch. And if we move forward to the third sheet, this is another branch of our store chain, and this is the green gamma branch, and these are the sales figures for that particular branch. So we have sales figures from three of our stores, and let us say we wanted to total all of them up together in a single sheet. So we can do that quite easily using the data consolidate feature in Calc. If you want to follow along, I will be providing a link to this sheet in the description box, and you can download and follow along as we proceed in this video. So to consolidate all these three sheets on a single sheet, let me start a new sheet. So I'm going to come here and click on this plus button and right click and rename this sheet. So let me just call it consolidated, and I'm going to click on this cell. You can click on any cell. You can even start a consolidation from the first cell itself. So I'm just going to click on this cell, and then I'm going to come onto the data tab and then click on this double arrow button right here, and then click on the consolidate option. So this option once again is available from the data tab, and then clicking on this double arrow and clicking on consolidate. So when you click on the consolidate button, you see a dialog box. The first option in this dialog box is sum, but you can click on this drop down and choose some other options that are available here, like count and average. We want to sum all the sales figures, so we will let this remain as sum. Now in this box we have to provide all the ranges that need to be summed up together. So we can do that by clicking on ranges inside this box, and I'll show that to you in a second. The second box is the location where the consolidated results are going to appear. So this is important. So you have to make sure that it is correct. In this particular case, I want the results to appear on my consolidated sheet and the results to start from cell B3. So that's quite correct. So I'm going to come here and start adding my consolidation ranges. So just come to this box, click inside it, and then click onto this button here. So this dialog box is going to shrink, and you can go to your first branch and select all the data including the headers. So in this particular case, just make sure that this blue box covers your entire data block, and you can verify this quite easily by looking at the cell. So it's starting from B2 and it's going to E14. So this is E14. So this is correct, as you can see from the blue border right here. So once you have selected the cells, this is coming from the first branch, the green alpha branch. Just click on this button. So you now have that range mentioned here in the first box, and then all you have to do is to press add, and this will then be transferred inside this box here, which is pulling up all the ranges that it has to add. So I'm going to come here and click on this. So this has now gone inside this box. Now we can repeat the same process for the other two branches. So I'm going to come here and click on this button once again, and then go on to my next branch, which is the green beta branch. So I'm going to click on this sheet, and then I'm going to come here and select all the data on my second sheet. It really doesn't matter where this data is on the sheet. What is important is that you select the entire data block, including the headers. So this seems to be quite okay, B2 to E14. This is the last cell here. And then I'm going to come here and click on this button once again. So I can now see the green beta branch data inside this box. The green alpha branch data is already inside the consolidation box. So I'm going to add the green beta branch data. Just come here and click on this. So the green beta branch data is also now inside the consolidation box. And I'm going to click on this button once again and pick up my last branch, which is the green gamma branch. So I'm going to come here and click on this. Then open the green gamma branch sales sheet, and then just simply select the entire data from the green gamma branch, making sure that all the data is selected. So as you can see, the first cell of this data block is C2. So it's reflecting correctly. And the last cell is F14. So that is correct. I can see that and verify that. So I'm going to click on that button once again. This is the green gamma branch. The data for the first two branches is already inside my consolidation box. So I'm going to add the green gamma branch data by clicking on this button right here. So I have the data for all the three branches right here. Now I can just go ahead and press OK, and the consolidated result will appear on the consolidated sheet. But before I do that, I have to come onto this options button right here and click on the row labels and column labels, just to make sure that the consolidated sheet has these labels as well. So if you forget to do this, you can always come back and switch them on or off. So once I have done this, all I have to do is to just go ahead and press OK, and you will see here that the consolidated sheet now has totals for all the 3 branches. So if you want to come here, you will see that in June for the solar battery charger, the alpha branch sold 9 items. The beta branch sold 57 items. So that is 66, and the gamma branch sold 95 items. So 66 plus 95 is what is appearing here as 161, the total for all the 3 branches for the month of June for the solar battery charger. So we can just simply select these headers as well and go to the home tab and wrap text, so you can see the label correctly. So this is how you can consolidate data from a number of sheets. These could be sales figures month-wise, or these could be sales figures from various branches. Using the data and consolidate feature, you can sum up all this data on one sheet. Now let's also consider one additional situation which can help us visualize some other possibilities when we are trying to consolidate data. So now let us say that we have consolidated data from these 3 branches, and as you can see from the file title, these branches are from region 1. Let's say we have data from another region and we open that file. This is a separate file, branch sales from region 2. So here we see that region 2 has 2 branches. One is the green delta branch and one is the green omega branch. So you will notice here that the green delta branch is selling only 2 out of 3 products that the branches in region 1 are selling, and the green omega branch from region 2 is selling only 1 product out of the 3 that was being sold by stores from region 1. And you will also notice that the data for December for the green omega branch, which is selling only 1 item, has not yet arrived. So if we wanted to consolidate data from these 2 branches also in the region 1 sheet that we have done before, in Calc we have to move these sheets to the original sheet. So I'm going to right click on this and click on move or copy sheet, and I'm going to copy this sheet into the branch sales region 1 on which I have my consolidated sheet. So I'm going to choose to copy by clicking on this choice, and then to document branch sales region 1. Remember, this is the region 2 data, but I'm making a copy of this data in the branch sales 1. And in this box, as I have mentioned in one of my earlier tutorials, it's asking you where this new sheet is going to be placed. So currently we have 3 sheets, alpha, beta and gamma, and we are going to bring in the delta sheet. So we will put it just before the consolidated sheet and press the copy button. So this sheet has gone in the branch sales region 1 file, and we will just see that in a second. And I'm going to do the same for the second sheet. So the green omega branch from region 2, click on this sheet, right click, move and copy. I'm going to make a copy, and I want to make a copy in the branch sales region 1 file, and I want to put it just before the consolidated sheet. So as you can see now, the delta sheet that we had moved is also showing up here. I'm just going to click on consolidated and click on copy. So it's going to place the green omega sheet just before the consolidated sheet in the branch sales region 1 file. So this has been done, and we can get rid of this file, that is the branch sales region 2, which had data for delta and omega branches, because we have already copied this in the first file. Just close this. So you can see that now we have 2 more branches, data from 2 more branches, and we want to consolidate the data of these 2 branches also with the data from the other branches in region 1. So I can do that quite easily. Even though these branches are not selling all the products, it doesn't really matter. Whatever they are selling will be added. And for the green omega branch, once again, there is no data for December, so nothing is going to be added. So this is all fine. So what we need to do is we'll come back to our consolidated sheet, and we can just come here and click on this cell here, that is the B3 cell here, and we will click on the data tab, and we are going to come here and click on arrows here, this button here that has 2 arrows, and then click on the consolidate option once again. So you will see that the consolidate range is having the first 3 branches, and this is the result of that consolidation. We just want to bring in the other 2 branches as well. So we will repeat this process for the green delta branch and the green omega branch. So just go ahead and click on this, and then come to the green delta branch and make sure that you select the entire data. So as we were doing before, so I can confirm that it is starting from B2 and ending at D14. So this is correct. So I'm going to come here. So as you can see, the green delta branch sales data has been available here. What has happened though is that the copy to results has changed. So I need to make sure that this is correctly represented. I want the results to appear. I will go to the consolidated and click on this once again to make sure that this is where the results will be pasted. So this now appears to be completely correct, and this is important that you keep an eye on this box here to make sure that the results will appear on the consolidated sheet. So many times it happens while you select the data, this also gets disturbed, and you have to keep an eye on this. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the delta branch data here. Currently inside the consolidation range box, we have alpha, beta and gamma. So I'm going to click this. So delta has come in here, and I'm going to repeat the same thing for my omega branch, which sells only 1 product. So I'm going to select all of them, including December, which doesn't have a value. So I will just confirm starting from B3, that's correct, and finishing at C15, this is correct, and click on this button once again. The copy to results is correct. It's going on to the consolidated sheet once again, and I'm just going to add my omega branch to the other branches. So I'm going to click here and click on this add button. So all my 5 branches are now inside the consolidation range box, and I can just come here and click on OK. So you will see that the data has now changed and it has been correctly added. So even though these 2 branches are not selling all the 3 products, the additions are absolutely perfect, and they have been added in the columns where they needed to be added. So for the omega branch, it's selling only solar generators. So the consolidated sheet reflects the addition of the omega branch only to this particular column. So if you try to work this out, you will see that the totals are correct. So this is how you can consolidate or total or average data from a large number of sheets onto a single sheet. And as I was mentioning before, it need not be sum. You can choose from a multiple of functions as required. But the most common application is for summing up data, and that is why it is provided as the default. But that is not the only thing that you can do. You can pick up any of these and use them to consolidate data from various sheets onto one single sheet. So this is a really useful feature, data and consolidate. So I hope this video was useful, and you can make use of these 3 features for data handling and data manipulation. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.